Hello and welcome to another edition of Beyond the Headlines. And I say happy holidays as we usher in the Christmas season. One of the big questions on my mind is, will I get black cake this year? One of the key ingredients, every time you hear, well, it's too late, there's no eggs. I love black cake. So I'm holding two people accountable if I don't get any black cake. I'm pleased to present our discussion this evening on the poultry and the livestock industry, important subsector of our overarching agricultural sector. This evening, I'm pleased to present Mr. Nugent Bernard. He's the livestock officer in the Ministry of Agriculture. Mr. Bernard, it's great to have you with us. And we're putting a very important lady in the spotlight this evening, Ms. Carmen Mahadio. She's the president of the Greater Poultry Association. Ms. Mahadio, we've been trying to get you for so long, and it's great to finally have you on the program with us.
It's good to be here with you, Odette. Sorry about the delay.
We understand. Now that we have, now that we've introduced our panelists, what we'll do, we'll take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back. Turn on the tree shot.
What the perfect gift will be this Christmas? Gift yourself or a loved one with a mattress from Dean's this Christmas. Get 10% off on all size and make of mattresses. Find the perfect mattress for your sleeping pattern, whether firm or soft. We have the quality and prices to suit everyone's needs. Make the right choice this Christmas by calling 440-3240 or WhatsApp 419-9036. Season's greetings from the management and staff at Dean's Mattress, where quality is never compromised.
Introducing Color by Seasons. 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 Color by Seasons.
Give some love with trend. Bringing love for you this game. Communion show with that weekend. With gifts of love with trend.
We're bringing you gifts of love with cheer at the communal. This Christmas, we are your Santa. It's all about sharing the warmth of this season with those you love. Get in on this special loan, taking advantage of great interest rates with no principal payments until January 2022. Share the gift of love. Make it a merrier Christmas with the communal. Exciting prizes for members throughout the promotion. For we are your Santa this Christmas. Offer ends January 31st, 2022. Lending terms and conditions apply.
Communion show with that weekend. With gifts of love with trend. Gifts of love with trend.
Get vaxxed, hey, hey, vaccinated. Get vaxxed, hey, hey, get vaccinated. Vaccinated. So wear your mask up, wash your hands up, and practice social distance. This is we chance to advance. Come let we fight this COVID at once. So come on let we fall in line. We want to come back to with social life. There is vaccination island wide. So come on let we fight it to protect we and we family.
This is a message from the Grenada Red Cross and the Ministry of Health.
And welcome back. 2 weeks ago, we looked at the 2022 budget presentation. We analyzed what was presented in Parliament. We looked at some of the perspectives. We had Labour representatives. We had an analyst out of Jamaica looking at the whole economics. and the grand scheme of things in Grenada and other Caribbean islands as far as a budget is concerned. And we continue to digest some of the issues that were raised in Parliament, continue to be raised as the budget debate moves to the Senate. And have you ever wondered what is the relationship between food and politics? And have you ever wondered who controls you? What controls you? Mr. Nugent Bernard, food and politics, who controls you?
If I'm able to feed my own self, then I have a greater level of independence. When I have to depend on you to provide my food, then it means I would have to follow every dictate of yours, every direction you give, and probably walk the walk that you want me to walk, so that the level of independence is taken away from me when I'm not able to provide for myself.
And that's a short answer for who controls you, the person who feeds you. So you're saying that we should move towards self-sufficiency?
Definitely. I think it's late.
We're at the 98, or we don't want to say 99?
But better late than never.
And the whole issue of food and politics, what does politics have to do with food? Why do we have to be debating this issue in Parliament?
I do not think it's so much politics in Grenada, but it's more from an international perspective, right? From my learning, small developing states, such as Grenada and the rest of the region, are always at a disadvantage when it comes for food production and our ability to produce food. One, because of our size, we are small, so that it really limits our ability as to what we can do. Secondly, we do not always have the necessary capital, which is very important for food production. We do not have the necessary infrastructure. We lack research and development, and all those are contributing factors to food production. The bigger affluent countries that have all the monies and the wherewithal, they are in a position to produce, and to produce at a very low cost, right? The unit cost of production is always lower because of the volume that they produce, right? And therefore it puts them in a much better position than we are. And sometimes the game play out that way. If you're big and able, then when you're small, you really have to stoop.
Ms. Maha, do you agree with that?
It is, Odette, whether I agree with it or not, it is factual. And the thing is this, right? Even if you look within the poultry sector, right, and the amount of foreign exchange that leaves the country, just by us importing baby chicks from Barbados, it's quite a sizable amount that leaves. If we are able to produce those chicks here, we will be able to have greater control of our environment. Because having said that, even the poultry production begins with the baby chicks. And this is what happens. In order to bring the baby chicks out of Barbados, the freight cost has escalated during the COVID to now. And what has been happening is that GAPP, Grenada Association of Poultry Producers, are not the only ones that import baby chicks out of Barbados. So some of the smaller importers, right, in order to offset the freight cost, they piggyback on GAPP. So they wait until we are bringing in chicks and then to share the same flight. But that is unknown to us, like behind our back. Anyway, this is what happens. All the baby chicks arrive in Grenada at the same time. And then all of them reach maturity at the same time. And then the point is, right, what happens then? Everybody bombards the supermarket at the same time. Because I was told just today that there is a shortage of local chickens on the market. But I was not aware of that because there's not a coordinated, cohesive way of supply. So it's like everybody just do their own thing, you know, who's supplying food land, who's supplying. But however, if we were producing our own baby chicks and the chicks were available on a daily basis, if you want chicks on Friday, you could go and buy it. If you want chicks on Monday, you could go and buy it, whatever day. Then the productivity would have been staggered in such a way that we will not be experiencing these sort of experiences, like, you know, a glut and then a scarcity and then a glut and a scarcity.
But then the question begs, what is the role of the Poultry Association then? Because those are issues, factors of production that you should be addressing. And it also takes me to the question, Mr. Bernard, and I suppose it's something Ms. Mahadio can answer as well, but Mr. Bernard, you've been in the Ministry of Agriculture for several years. I remember being a young reporter and reporting on the National Hatcheries Association and a hatchery being established somewhere in Grenada. I hope I don't get it wrong, but as if I remember, there was a gentleman by the name of Mr. Cliff Robertson having something to do with that. And
in Telescope.
Right. So what happened to that?
Okay. The poultry production in Grenada have a number of challenges, and if you will, just let me give just a brief overview. Globally, and I want to take it from a global perspective first, the poultry production globally is one of the fastest growing business. In fact, it is a multi-billion-dollar business, right? Between 2020 and 2021, this year, global production would have increased from $310.7 billion US to 22.6 billion US, an increase of 3.8% compound annual growth rate. And the trend seemed to be that by the year 2025, it will increase by a 7% to $422.97 billion. Now, it tells me that this industry is no little industry. There's a lot of money at stake, right? But the thing is, this growth is being led mainly by the United States. So again, we come back on bigness, all right? The level of production is so massive. And not just production, but they have markets. With us in Grenada here, we have a number of constraints. One, we are constrained by not having a proper policy. There must be a consensual framework that guides production, livestock production. And this is not only unique to Grenada. This is not unique to Grenada. The rest of the Caribbean, in most cases, is equally the same. In fact, small developing countries. Then we have the issue of lack of research. We have the issue of lack of capital. All right? We have the issue in Grenada where we are so disaggregated, disorganized, right? So we are operating in a vacuum, in a kind of vai kind of situation. And unless our poultry industry does not take an integrated approach, then what we speak about earlier on in terms of lack of this and lack of this, right? Because there is no way that we are organized to ensure that we have sustainable development within the industry, right? So the constraint factors are factors that must be addressed if we are to get anywhere.
You spoke about the whole issue of policy, and I want to go back to Ms. Mahadio on this. She's and ask her, what is this new association? I'm saying newly elected. The association is not new, but the newly elected executive will do. So for instance, one of my friends in St. Lucia heard me open my wondering whether I'll get cake for Christmas because whether eggs will be scarce. And that person said, we can send you some eggs. St. Lucia is self-sufficient thanks to a government policy to stop the importation of eggs and help farmers meet local demand. So, Ms. Mahadi, I'll come to you shortly to ask you about what will the association do to deal with this disaggregation, as Mr. Bernard pointed out. But Mr. Bernard, government policy, you're in government. What is the government doing to put policies in place to protect farmers and to protect our people?
Well, I cannot answer for the government, but what I do know is couple years ago, I think it was in 2010, some effort was made to put a poultry policy together, right? But somehow it seems that
that's 11 years ago.
Yeah, but somehow it seems as though that we didn't get it right, right? But I know efforts.
Get it right within 11 years, Mr. Bernard.
Well, there has to be, not getting into the politics, but there has to be a political will when it comes for our national food sustenance. All right, and the lead has to come from government. Yes, we agree, right? And if the enabling environment is not there, then it makes it difficult, right, for us to really do what we're supposed to do as a nation in terms of food production, right? So that is clear. But I think in terms of the policy, efforts are being made right now to review what is to be or what was to be the poultry policy, all right? So efforts are made to do that. And I'm thinking that if this is done in the correct way, right, taking all factors into consideration, taking all stakeholders into consideration, taking what is the climate on the international and regional market. You see, because we are in a big field plane, right, and we must take all those factors into consideration. And prominently is the fact that our importation is one of the issues that we must address. And the only way we could address that is, of course, if we create the enabling environment where we can increase our production. But then how do we do that? For us to increase production, we're talking about mass production, right? In a fragmented environment as we are in, disorganized, with everybody doing a little piece of thing here, doing and not doing it right, then we'll always end up with those problems where you're not sure of eggs this Christmas, or you're not sure of meat next week, right? Because the system needs to be organized. Yeah. And the only thing that can correct that is a correct policy.
So, Ms. Mahadi, I know you're new to this. The interruptions caused by COVID-19 would have set the association back. So whereas you might have had elections in September and you tried to put things in place in October, probably it was only last month that you really got going. What is the Poultry Association's plans to address the challenges being faced by the Poultry Association, by the local industry?
Sure. Odette, I have listened to Mr. Bernard. And in order for us to start to even think about solving the problem, we have to think about statistical data analysis. Unless we get to that point, right, it's the same thing will continue to happen. As far as I'm aware, or as far as I was told, because I'm not a layer producer, I'm just into broilers. That there is a government policy in place that prohibits the importation of eggs. However, on a whole, we have, just as you said, that you are thinking about whether you are going to get your black cake for Christmas. We also have to think about food security, right? We have to think about the image of our country. What I am saying is, right, we cannot have students or tourists or locals or anybody starving because of the fact that we do not have enough eggs. Eggs is a staple, right? Almost everyone may not eat meat, but almost everyone eats eggs, right? Here is the thing, Odette, right? Do we know how many eggs are actually needed on a daily basis? Do we? The answer is no. So, are the big players, are the hotels willing to tell us, right, what is their supply and demand? right? Are the farmers willing to tell us, right, what is their supply and demand, right? Because we have to have a cohesive approach to food security. Because at the end of the day, eggs there is consumed by humans, right? And we cannot think about the industry in isolation. Just or speaking about eggs in isolation, we have to come to the consumption point of the whole equation, and then we will know exactly where we are going from there.
So, Mr. Bernard,
if I should weigh in on this, government, with this new that we have with with FAO and World Health, not World Health Organization, but sorry, with globalization, and stuff. One cannot just say, look, I'm going to ban this, and it's accepted. All right? If you are to ban anything now with this global market, you must have plausible reasons for doing so. All right? And though we have in principle a restriction on bringing in eggs in Grenada, it's not really a ban on bringing in eggs in Grenada, right? But because the point about it is, if we do not have sufficient eggs on the local market, do we say, okay, well, we ban eggs and we can't bring any at all? Then the ministry must give permission to bring in to satisfy that need. And in fact, as I speak, we would have given a number of businesses permission to bring in a certain quota of eggs, right? Again, that has to happen in a construct, right? Because eggs, like anything else, can be a transporter of disease. So we have to be very careful as to what is the origin, where is it coming from, right? So we have to ensure that. But in terms of ensuring local production, I go back to the same point. Because we are not organized, then we are in this mess. We're supposed to be at a position where we say, look, we start from a baseline. We know what our national consumption of egg is on a yearly basis, broken down to a monthly, basis, and even to a weekly basis. If we know how much we need to consume, then this would be a guide as to how much we need to produce.
Well, Mr. Bernard, why don't we have the information? So, for instance, I've been hearing a promotional piece being run by the Ministry of Finance. They're going to do the census. So, for instance, why hasn't the Ministry of Agriculture conducted a survey, probably on behalf of the Poultry Association, to find out from the hoteliers how much they need, to find out from supermarkets on average how much do they sell as a starting point? Why hasn't that happened? What's the big oxymoron in the room?
Well, I don't know, but again, what I can say just speaks to how disorganized, whether it's by design or by chance we are, right? So we need to get to a place where we recognize, this is about our livelihood, this is about our national food security, and we need to get to the point where we have a serious discussion on bringing our production at a place where we can feed ourselves.
Ms. Mario, you want to jump in here? Go ahead.
Yes. Odette, I do not want it to sound as though it's all doom and gloom. Out of this, right, came some very positive moves. For example, the same egg situation, it could have been a disaster in the making. However, right, there were meetings between myself, representatives of the Ministry of Agriculture, representatives of the Ministry of Trade, and the consumers. Real value, food, land, and things. And as such, right, we were able to put a cap on what was imported. We gave them the bare minimum, right, to survive, so that there's not really a shortage on the market. And what has been happening is, like, you give license for a 2-week period. During that 2-week period, you accumulate from the local farmers, and then you look at it. Right, how is it going? And so far, right, I think it's just twice they were given license.
Yeah, a few of them got licensed.
Just twice for a 2-week period.
So, Mr. Bernard, you use Ms. Mahadia has struck a chord here, and it ties in with something you said earlier. You hinted at globalization. And I'm thinking, for instance, you're saying you can't just impose a ban. The World Trade Organization set quotas for things. And so, for instance, are we subjected to the foreign chicken, and we're looking at broilers now for meat, chicken for meat and not for eggs, when probably the local chicken has less chemicals and so on, and it's healthier for us? Because of globalization, you can't ban, so there's dumping on small states like Grenada?
That again is a big discussion. Now, when it comes to our poultry meat production, it is important to know that from a global perspective, most of the chickens that are produced in the bigger countries, one of the key things they use within the production system is antibiotics, growth promoters, and enhancers.
Growth promoters.
Right. So,
and enhancers.
And enhancers. But you see, we need to understand too that the poultry industry has evolved so much that a lot of work has been done in terms of genetics, genetic improvement, right, using our traditional breeds. So right now, you can get a bird, a meat bird.
Are you talking about a chicken?
A chicken, a broiler, fit for slaughter in 6 to 8 weeks. All right? Which is pretty good.
Whereas in the past, your grandmother would have had that fowl running around for how long before it can be consumed?
Right. And this is a traditional bird. Now the feed regime to take that traditional bird to a particular growth rate, because everything now is fast growth. This is what the industry is about. Right?
But is it good for us? Is it healthy? You said antibiotics.
It may not be, well, sorry, it cannot be healthy since they would have banned the use of antibiotics, because we have a problem now with antibiotic resistance, right? And you know it's not easy to produce antibiotics. Take years. And because there are concerns about the use of antibiotic and residual effects, right? Now, this has been banned, and people are now looking for alternative use of natural antibiotics, right? Now again, the question of volume comes into play. But I go back to your question. Now, I do a few broilers, and I don't use no artificial antibiotics on my fowls. I use aloes, right? In fact, my final year in university, I did an experiment with 500 broilers using aloes, aloe vera, right? It is not only antiviral, it is anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, it's a whole set of things. So, but the thing is, if you're in 44 million pounds, where would you get aloes to produce 44 million pounds? So the bigger countries, the easiest thing to do is to use those growth promoters and that will give the fast growth, right? The problem is, because these have been banned, and consumers are showing in the bigger countries, in the first world nation, that hey, I am not going that route. I want safe, clean, and healthy, meat to eat. There are a host of implications that can result from that. They can sue you if they know that you are putting those things on them after it is banned. Now, because of our smallness, how do we control a farm in Brazil? Are we aware that they're still using antibiotics? We don't know, right? So we have an assumption. Now here where the injustice comes with the whole aspect with globalization, they have put on tariffs and stuff that prevents us from trading in a particular direction. So they say, look, if you want to trade with me, you must meet those conditions. And unless we meet them as small developing nations, we cannot enter into the markets. But here it is, on the other hand, they are free to enter into our markets at any will, because they say to us, look, if you do not have the labs to test for certain things, right? So these are non-trade barriers now, right? So they take out the direct barriers and they put the unseen barriers. So they say you must have the lab. Where are we going to get the kind of resources and money to develop these labs and them to do this kind of testing. So there is a real possibility that the chickens that we get from abroad, right, may not be as healthy as those that we can produce here at home.
Ms. Mahadio, making the chickens as healthy as those that we produce here. So I'm certain Mr. Bernard has just made a very strong point for Grenadians to rise up and probably each home grow a dozen chickens.
Local.
I would refer to something that was said very, very early in the program, which is about policies, right? You see, I have been hearing about policies and so many policies and so on. And as I raised in one of the previous meetings, policies is about people. Because you take some words, you put it on a paper, and then after the, the nice gathering of the policy makers, it goes and it sits somewhere in some cupboard or someplace and on a shelf, and then 7 years after, here is, how many years did you guys say, 15 or 7?
And it's been 11 years, yeah?
Yes, about that.
11 years ago.
I think it's in 2011, thereabout. Yeah, so it's almost.
Right. So, and here it is now, we are speaking about a non-existent policy because someone who was one of the policy makers or all the policy makers decided that it was no longer important after the gathering of the policy makers, and so now we are assailed by the same problem. So we have to go and reinvent the wheel. And where are we at the moment? You see, where people are seeing these huge problems, Odette, I may be naive or I may not know enough, but I am not seeing those problems. Because here it is, right? Every year we hear about how much financing goes into certain sectors. Okay? Why don't we use it in such a manner that we can see results? Okay? Every year we hear about all sorts of, some fantastic sounds that I can't even remember. We've gotten aid, we have gotten this, that. Why don't we ask for aid in such a manner that we can see results, right, that the people can benefit? I'm all about the end results and people. Okay, why don't we, okay, well, going back to that, right, I do not know if you're aware of this or not, but I was very much an integral part of the government of Japan, where the fisheries start from the startup, and so I could speak about the benefits of grant aid, right? If you ask for aid in the right way, according to the needs of the country, and it is properly executed and managed, right, we are going to see results in a multifaceted way. For example, if we can get a hatchery, we hatch our own chickens, right? We start, we have a place where we maintain the conditions of the slaughtering environment, right? And as we're hearing about backyard farming, and every person who is able, and this is something that I think that after Hurricane Ivan, that the USA did. They gave a lot of people like some chickens and whatever it is for sustainability. And what did they do? They ate the chickens, and then it came to a halt. You see, Odette, the thing is this, right?
They ate the chickens.
Right. You see, the thing is this, the bottom line is, right? People have to start minding their own business and taking care of their own business.
People have to start minding their own business and taking care of their own business. That's a very important point on which we can segue into a commercial break and come back on the discussion. And one of the things we'll do is we share some information on a study that was done in Bangladesh, and I can assure you that the commonalities of the problems in Bangladesh, we have alluded to some of them, and that's why we stay on Beyond the Headlines. We do a universal conversation. We take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
Let's get tough on breed your larceny. It will destroy our economy. Larceny threatens our food security. Can hurt us locally, hurt us globally. To all the buyers, ask for license from all produce sellers. To all the people, 100 for police for them thieving fellas. To all the farmers, please don't steal produce from your brother. Then you sell it to traffickers, hotels and street vendors. Nah, man. Let's do all we can to stop radio larceny. New vigilance, new laws, and a tough judiciary. Stop Grenada's organized business crime. It's time.
To report pre-deal larceny, call 300.
Do you have muscular pain that no one can find a solution for? Are you tired of taking meds for joint and other pains? Hills and Valley Medicare Center on Grenville Street, St. George is here to help you heal. We will help you map a path to your full recovery. Visit us Monday to Saturday for a consultation with our on-site doctor, physiotherapist, and massage team. You will be glad you did. Our Medicare Center, a proud member of the Hills and Valley group of companies. On the hilltop or in the valley, we are with you wherever life takes you. Hills and Valley Pharmacy. Your health is our business.
Are you looking for quality herbs and herbal supplements, or are you thinking about having a complete body cleanse to jumpstart your health? Then no need to look further. Visit Nirvana Natural Health Clinic, Detox Center, and Natural Health Store. We carry a wide range of herbal products for kidney and gallstone cleansing, male sexual enhancement formulas, asthma and sinusitis, gas and bloating, acid reflux, constipation, arthritis, imbalanced hormones, female health issues, liver cleansing, weight loss, and so much more. Also available, colonic irrigation, holistic health consultations, essential oils, and diffusers. Look out for our online natural health store coming soon. Call 231-6642 for 18-7115 or 449-7753 to find out about our delivery options or to book an appointment. Visit us at Belmont St. George's, close to the Foliage, Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Nirvana Natural Health Clinic. Detox your way to health.
It's the most wonderful time of the year for deals and bargains galore at Mitch and Pearl Enterprise. We stock wines, rums, pots and pans, chocolates, ornaments, and all your decor for the season. We even carry fine chinaware and a wide assortment of cups, plates, and mugs. Additionally, we have a good stock of top quality household appliances. At Mitch and Pearl, we are keen on fashion. Check out our high fashion sunglasses and delicate pieces of bracelets and necklaces. And not forgetting the children, we have the latest in dolls, puzzles, gift sets, and other fun-filled items. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, and even medication. So for this holiday season, visit Mitch and Pearl Enterprise on the Mount Parnassus Main Road for deals, and more deals. Call us on telephone number 435-0997 or 535-1364.
You can now send a gift card to your loved ones locally or internationally thanks to the food fair. Here's how it works. Click the gift card icon or banner. Customize your gift card by choosing from different templates, dollar amount, and personalized messages. You can also upload your personal design. Select Add to Cart and complete transaction. Allow relatives and friends to pick up an item or items at the food fair for the dollar value. Gift card. It's that easy.
Spare the earth, always at Grand Lake, you come first. Save energy, save our time. We choose your wattage and we choose your time. When you use appliances, make sure you buy energy efficient every time. Spare your pocket, spare the earth, always at Grand Lake, you come first. Spare your pocket, spare the earth,
welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. This evening we're looking at livestock and poultry production, very important subsector of the agricultural sector. Our panelist this evening in studio with us, Mr. Nugent Bernard, he's the livestock officer in the Ministry of Agriculture, and Ms. Campbell, she's the recently elected president of the Poultry Association, and we're looking at critical factors, who controls you, politics and food. And as I promised, we look at a study that was done in Bangladesh in a little bit. Comments are coming in fast and furious on social media. So I just am posing some of them so that you remember when we start to take audience questions. Somebody saying, food security first starts with identifying the nutritional need of the population and the population's ability to afford purchase. Per pound, local chicken approximately 11 ounces or 70% are edible portions at $8 a pound. If we are to promote eating local, how can we match the price, local versus imported? I want to take another comment before we come back to the discussion. Do we encourage farmers to grow range chicken and produce range eggs, which have a high price on the market? You want to take that one, Mr. Bernard? Yes, go ahead.
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
Yes.
How can there be two answers at the same time, Mr. Bernard? How is that even possible?
Yes, in the context that I could encourage a farmer to do range egg production, right? If what he's doing is for his backyard, all right? So you're talking about volume now, right? If a farmer wants to take on that as a business venture, then it means that space in terms of land, remember, you're talking about free range. So this animal primary source of food or its diet depends on what is in the natural environment. All right? Hence the reason why the tradition cannot be taken into any serious business. One, because of its genetics, the number of eggs that he lay, maybe 6 to 16 as the maximum per cycle, right? Whereas in the modernized poultry industry, one layer, depending on the breed of that layer, can give you anything between 200, 360 eggs.
So we're going to get a little controversial, Mr. Bernard, and forgive me. I hear you about the range chicken, and it seems to be that you're dismissing it. But the cost, and you're saying the range chicken could only give you eggs. How many eggs per cycle?
Between 6 to 16. It depends on that,
right.
On that local
6
cost,
to 16, right?
Yeah.
And people are concerned about the hormones that are pumped into imported chicken. You pay a price with your health because you have all this cancer developing, and then your price you must pay to fix that. So the chicken and the egg situation, which would you prefer have?
So one needs to understand, and I'm talking science now. Science, because
science again.
Because poultry production is science. Because if had it not been for science, right, we would have still been doing it in the traditional way and not been able to feed our population. All right? Are you with me on this?
Yes, I'm with you. So range chicken.
Yeah, so range chicken, this is, if you're talking about the traditional fowl,
say yard fowl, Mr.
or the local yard
fowl, like those we have on the screen.
And I am proposing that one can only take on this venture if it's for your backyard, your family use. If you want to do range chicken on a commercial basis, you would have to have a whole lot of chicken, right? Because of the level of production for these type of birds, right? Genetically, they are not inclined to give you large numbers of eggs.
So you are telling me about the need for genetically modified chicken.
No, I'm not saying no. I'm not saying modified. I'm not saying genetically modified chicken. But the point I'm making is that genetic improvement in breed has caused the same traditional chicken, right? Crossing breeds, okay, and taking layability as a gene and injected in the same tradition. And that is why I made the point earlier on. We have genetic improvement with traditional breeding. All right. So these fowls that you showed me there, wherever it is from, They are the traditional fowls that we use as our genetic base for disease resistance and all everything. But what we have injected in them is the ability to lay more eggs. All right? And just in case for the audience, one fowl takes 23 hours. A hen takes 23 hours to lay one egg. The entire process. All right? So you get only one egg a day. And that is why I'm saying, this is why I'm saying, yeah, that is science, that has been proven. And this is why I'm saying, if we go in free range for traditional birds, it means that we must have a whole lot of land space that would allow these birds and them to free range and be adequately fed, because important in this is the nutritional requirement of each bird on a daily basis.
Ms. Mahadio is disagreeing with you. Ms. Mahadio,
No, I'm not totally disagreeing with him. I am chuckling because of a conversation I had last night with a layer farmer, right? Very interesting, and I was wondering, right, if something was wrong with either of us, because the gentleman was telling me, right, and it was very late, I think it was maybe after 12 or 1 or something, and he was saying that the birds doesn't lay, he makes them lay.
Okay then, interesting.
That he feeds them at a certain time, he gives them certain amount of light, then he gives them whatever it is, and instead of laying 1 egg per day, they lay it twice per day. One in the day and 1 in the early morning. So somehow, anyway, he says he manipulates their laying schedule or ability.
And Mr. Bernard is like, nah, somebody's crazy.
That was my first thought too. So Mr. Bernard, what you are saying, that's impossible?
That is if this is a different genetical, maybe, well, this is the way we're talking about genetical modify now, right? If this has been genetically modified to give 2 eggs, but as far as I am aware, it takes 23 full hours, right, from fertilization to laying of a single egg. Yes, of course, laying of eggs are influenced by a number of factors, right? Light.
Right, he said so.
So laying hens need actually 16 hours of light per day, because there is the photostatic mechanism in that hen that brings to bear the number of light hours that it gets on a daily basis. Hence the reason why when December is approaching, September, October, you hear farmers start complaining that the fowls are not laying, right? It's not happening because they are not putting the science to work that speaks to what is happening, the physiological changes that is taking place in the body. They do not get a constant 16 hours per day. When that hours reduces, right, that hour reduces, then what would happen would be a photostatic shock, right? And that shock would cause that fowl to reduce in terms of its production, right? So what farmers need to do, a bit of education here now, what farmers need to do is that once you see September start stepping in and the sunlight and outside becomes dark at an earlier time,
increase your light.
You introduce artificial light for the next couple of hours and maybe turn it off when you're going to bed. But 16 hours is a must.
16 hours is a must. Are we looking at the science? This is Beyond the Headlines. We're having a very interesting discussion. I think I'm learning something from them. Ms. Mahadi, I'm coming back to you shortly to address the issue of getting 2 eggs within the 24. But you know why I'm laughing is in school we used to boast, you know, this is the boy will come and say, my father said 3 eggs in a day, and somebody, my father said 6 eggs in a day. So to hear it tonight, with somebody trying to prove that to Ms. Mahadi, that's very interesting. When we come back, we will look at some of the information in the study done in Bangladesh and related to Grenada. We promise we'll get to that information after this commercial break.
Rubigas, clean, safe, and reliable LPG is the perfect solution for your commercial and everyday needs. For cooking at home or barbecuing, choose Rubigas LPG cylinders. Available in a variety of sizes from 20 to 100 pound cylinders. Rubigas LPG. Clean, safe, reliable. Are you cooking with Rubigas?
Get going.
You're already ill and have no time or energy to walk every which way to access your healthcare needs. So come to Spice Isle Imaging on the Carenage for a one-spot stop for all your health service needs. See our in-house doctor and get your meds from the pharmacy right on location. Digital X-ray, MRI, CT scans, mammography, ultrasound and laboratory services are also available. So for that moment when life makes demands on you, you can make demands on us. Visit us at Spice Isle Imaging, Carenage, St. George's.
Do I need to wear a mask and avoid close contact with others if I am fully vaccinated?
Thank you, and this is a very important question. The vaccines that we have against COVID-19 are very effective vaccines, and it gives a really good chance of not developing the disease. We must know that there is no vaccine that provides 100% protection for any disease. With that being said, we do expect cases of disease among people who are fully vaccinated. Though this is rare, it can happen, and we call this breakthrough infections. This is not unique to COVID-19. This doesn't mean that the vaccines aren't working. It means that not everyone who receives vaccines has 100% protection, and as a result, vaccinated persons, if they become infected, are capable of transmitting the virus to others. For these reasons, vaccinated persons must continue to practice the prevention measures like mask wearing and avoiding close contact or crowded places. So to answer your question, yes, you need to wear a mask and avoid close contact with others even if you are fully vaccinated.
Busy during the week and have no time to go to the credit union to access your loans? Do you wish there were more days available to you? We can help. Our Loan Saturday is back by popular demand this and every Saturday at the GUT Credit Union Grandance Branch, Excel Plaza. Enjoy the peace of mind knowing that you have access to your credit union even on a weekend. So come on in and take advantage of our services every Saturday. GUT Credit Union. It's where you belong.
Point that out. Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. We segue on a very cute point. If you feed the chicken, you adjust the lighting, you get 2 eggs within 24 hours. And Mr. Bernard is saying, nah, not possible. You could probably get 2 yolks, not 2 chickens and 2 eggs.
Definitely.
Go ahead, Mr. Bernard.
Each species of animal has a different nutrient requirement that would seek to look after need for production, need for reproduction, and need for maintenance. Right? Similar to us as humans. Whenever you eat extra, or you take in extra nutrients, the body will only take in what is required, and what is not required would either be stored as fat or goes out in the form of waste.
Wow.
Right? So it's possible that if you overfed, bearing in mind that a laying hen only requires about 4 ounces of feed per day to meet its normal body function requirements. And this has been internationally proven for not only poultry, but for all other aspects of livestock based on the species nutrient requirement.
Does that go for broilers also?
Yes, broiler also have the normal feed requirement per day. Right? In fact, when you begin to feed a broiler chick feed requirement at that stage is anything for the first week or so is within 1 3/4 to 2.5 ounces of feed per day. As that bird grows into maturity, right? By the time it's ready to be slaughtered, the normal bird requirement feed per day is about 5.5 ounces.
And I think we're asking the production studio to come back in studio, on the shortened studio, so that we could entertain this discussion. So, Mr. Bernard, Ms. Mahadia, he spoke about species, and we want to carry this off. Some people tell you that a woman could only have 1 baby, except she's having twins within a 9-month cycle. We want to look at
as I said, I just interjected based on what Mr. Bernard was saying, to say, that's what I was told. Mr. Bernard is expert, I'm not an expert, but it seems as though the guy is getting results from whatever it is that he's doing.
And you also want to say that during the commercial break, he called to swear by his method.
Exactly. He has defended his method.
He has defended his method, and he's defended it to the hilt. But we did promise we'd look at some of the factors of production and some of the commonalities universally.
Yes.
And I looked at a study that was done in Bangladesh. The study identified major problems such as high price of feed, outbreak of diseases, lack of steady supply of electricity, altering the lights, the lack of veterinary care and service facilities, inadequate knowledge on poultry husbandry, non-availability of chickens, and lack of credit, which should be mitigated as early as possible with an interest to accelerate commercial poultry production in rural Bangladesh.
Very much like Grenada.
Common issues?
Yes, very much.
We are assailed by all of those.
Yes, very much.
According to how big your farm is, that is how major the problem can be. But everyone is assailed by the very same problem, because you see, Odette.
The high price of, let's take them one by one, the high price of feed.
Oh, good Lord. Let's not.
Let's go there.
Yeah, because you see, when you have one entity that is controlling the whole of the, Odette, the issues with the feed and the feed and the feed, right? So the price of feed has escalated so much, right? But there's nothing that we, the farmers, can do about it, because we have one person here that's controlling the whole of the feed industry. And this, to me, right, when I studied it, right, is making absolutely no sense whatsoever. Because if we could import everything, right, because I cannot understand, I mean, maybe Mr. Bernard can say it, but I would say it on behalf of all the farmers, right? If Caribbean Agro can export feed to other whatever islands or whosoever, why is it then that we cannot import feed?
Question mark. We should have somebody here to
so the question of feed costs is really a critical issue, and I honestly think that there has to be some redress or addressing of that issue. Now, unlike other aspects of livestock production, you can hardly get alternative feed source for poultry, right? Poultry, for any serious poultry production, concentrate feed is the number one feed, right? Unlike places like Africa, where you have now something that has been introduced now is the black solia, is the black solia fly, right? Now, this fly is being used to produce maggots, and the maggots are fed to the hens or to the broilers. Now, these maggots, what they provide is protein, right? And protein is a number one feed ingredient in feed. So as Ms. Madiha was saying, how can we get a local industry to move forward when every ingredient in that feed produced has to be from outside sources, right? And protein, the cost of feed is determined by the percentage of protein that is in that feed. And normally fish meal is being used, right? So when you get a feed at 17%, it would be a different price to a feed that is 19%. The percentage really represents the percentage protein that is present in that feed. So this is a conversation that we must have, because if you're talking about factors of production to influence production, your feed costs cannot be almost prohibitive.
But it
cannot, right? So we have to engage in that conversation.
Ms. Mahdi, you say something?
Ms. Campbell, another thing is this, right? What I have experienced and what the farmers have told me, every single person here is an expert on poultry rearing. I'm listening to Mr. Bernard now, and I hope many, many farmers are listening, right? What he is saying is quite correct. Okay. There is a certain individual who went on my farm, right, and claimed that my birds were not being fed enough. We feed them the thing, but broilers are they're a species of birds. You just feed them now, Miss Campbell, and if you pass across, you'll feel that they haven't been fed in a year. Mr. Bernard is going to tell you that, right? So the man came, and he told my employee, right, that he need to feed the birds more. So instead of feeding them adequately, as Mr. Bernard said, right, the guy fed the birds a 1 week supply of feed in 1 day.
Your birds got fat?
No. And then the workers start complaining that the birds were messing the pen. Just like Mr. Bernard said, they will excrete the excess, right? So you see, what we need right now, right, are some training programs. Well, one of the good things that came out is Mr. Eugene Bernard now has been assigned to the Poultry Association as our, which is great, because I don't think that we have had that before, as our poultry expert and our poultry officer. And also we are on the verge of signing an MOU with the Ministry of Agriculture, which has never happened before, right, to benefit the poultry farmers in ways that did not happen. What the final product is going to be, I cannot say at the moment, because we are in active discussion, but it's something that is great, which will be, beneficial to farmers. So
we're not getting somewhere.
Yes, we are. But if I just go back and feed that bit again, because we need to emphasize that feed is so important for production, reproduction, and maintenance of the animal. And it is important that the feed preparation is done right. In other words, the nutrient composition of that feed must speak to that particular bird. And that is why, again, let's come back to it. We are in a modern era where we're getting fast-growing birds. Now, the genetics that speaks to fast growth must relate to the nutrients that this animal is getting. So, for example, if I was to take the feed produced by Feed Mill Caribbean Agro and feed a yard fowl, it would make no difference. It will make no difference. It will still be a yard fowl. All it just do is consuming feed from Caribbean Agro. So it's like eating in Kentucky. But it would not put on any significant amount of weight. Because why? The genetics of that bird is not matching to the feed composition. All right? That is why The present broiler, whether it's a Ross 500 or Ross 308, right, is designed, right, to consume this concentrate feed for fast growth.
And you know, Mr. Bernard, I just realized I looked at my time and it's like 20 past the hour. And our theme is livestock and poultry production, and we spent a whole night on poultry.
Well, this is important.
Let's segue a little bit into livestock and what is the ministry's plan as far as livestock is concerned as we get ready to wrap up.
Right, so as I'm aware, the ministry, there is a need for us to revive the livestock industry. And as somebody who has been trained in livestock production, my first advice would be that the ministry do a livestock policy that would encapsulate all other subsectors. Now, a policy is like a blueprint, is like a plan for a house, right? That tells you where you must put this and where you must put that, where you must build this, where you must put that, right? Without this, we would not have any proper direction as to where we're going, right? High on the agenda, as far as I know, is the development of small ruminants, pig production, and poultry production. I am not mentioning large ruminants simply because if I am to advise the ministry on large ruminants, I would only say that we do it maybe for our local use, internal use only. But we do not have the necessary land space and the wherewithal for us to grow or rear large ruminants.
And by large ruminants, you mean?
We're talking about cattle predominantly. Okay. But sheep and goat, small ruminant, is almost like this is part of our food security, right? And poultry and pigs, these are two of the fastest in growing subsectors globally, right? Because a lot of people consume pork and a lot of people consume poultry as well, right? So this is direction. But again, policy direction is what is needed, right? Serious investment, right? Education. You mentioned that day in Bangladesh, farmers not having the knowledge. Here, what I've discovered in Grenada, a lot of people doing things, but they're not doing it right, right? And many times you see things happen and fail. It's simply because they are doing it on their own. They only set up the pen and after they call us to the ministry. And I'm saying to farmers out there, you and investors, why wouldn't go and invest thousands of dollars and do it wrong, right? We are the experts. We have the designs, we have the technical information that can be combined with your experience, right? So let us know what is happening and then we can advise you appropriately. But I think the ministry has recognized the need for food security. We are moving to fulfill the, is what goal they call it? The millennial goal or something like that, so?
Millennial development.
Right, so for national food security and food nutrition, and we are moving in that direction.
Okay. Yeah. We probably just have about 10 minutes remaining. We'll go to wrap up in a little bit, but just in case anybody wanted to jump in on the conversation this evening, the number you can call is 440-1252. 440-1252, the number you can call if you want to get a quick shot at a contribution this evening. Ms. Mahadia, you've been wanting to say something for a little bit.
Yes, touching on the point what Mr. Bernard made earlier, right, about production. Production begins from the baby chicks, and according to the breed of the chicks you get, that determines your productivity level. What we do not know in Grenada, right, is, as I said, there are numerous importers of baby chicks, right? We do not know what breed of chicks comes into Grenada. We need to know that because some chicks are more suitable for the tropics, some grows faster in tropical conditions and environments, some don't. So,
but do they all come from Barbados?
Yes, yeah. They do, but it's not a matter of that they're coming from Barbados, right? You see, just like from an economic point of view, everything boils down to dollars and cents, right? Birds, chicks are being hatched in Barbados. Because if we are the largest customer of Barbados, we should be able to tell Barbados that we need Ross chicks and not Hubbards or one of the other slow-growing birds.
So why don't you tell them? she's nudging toward you, Mr.
No, you see, yes, you see, the problem again is this. In the scheme of things, you have what they call A grade, B grade, and ungraded. All right? So in America, if you're hatching chickens, you would have A grade.
A grade. Yeah.
Because if you give a customer non-graded eggs, chickens from non-graded eggs, and he doesn't get the growth rate that is specified, he can sue you.
He can sue you. Hold that point there. We have a call on the line. Caller, good evening and welcome.
When it's young, you can eat it with other foods, and you can eat it with coconut with other food, like I can have chicken, with salami and things like that. You mix it with a pepper and.
All right, so caller, I think we missed a little bit there because the speaker in the studio needed to be on. Yeah. But a person was raising the point that you were making about the cochineal. Well, I say cochineal, but it's
the aloe
vera, right? And you were saying that you feed your birds some of that. So the person was talking about the economics of feed and the fact that you can do a mix so that probably you cut down on the price of feed.
You mean with the aloes?
That seems to have been the point.
No, well, what the aloes will do from my research is that because the aloes have a number of properties such as antiviral, antibacterial, and whatnot, one of the benefits of aloes is that it helps boost the immune system. Right? It also helps give gut health, and once you have gut health, then you have better absorption and digestion of the nutrients. And the better absorption and digestion of the nutrients now aid in greater feed efficiency. So in other words, the animal will take in that feed and better utilize it for it to produce, body mass.
And we have another call on the line. Caller, good evening. Hello. Go ahead, please. Yes, go ahead.
Good evening.
Yes, please.
Good evening to you, Miss Campbell, and to your two guests. Okay, Mr. Bonald, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
First of all, Mr. Bonald, why can't we see a more strenuous message coming from the ministry in terms of people, animal that is stray, people, animal that damage other people, animal that is tying other people's land? Why can't we see a more strenuous? Because what I know is that if you pong the animal, you have to bring it down into, long ago you were supposed to bring it down into Mount Hartman, which is very costly for somebody ponging somebody's animal. Why can't we see a more strenuous effort coming from the ministry and from government?
Thank you so much.
If I had to answer you this way, first of all, people must have consideration for one another, right? Personal consideration, okay? So that why would I want to let go my animal to go and destroy somebody else's property, right? Secondly, there is a stray act in place that gives you the permission that if your animal strayed into somebody's property, you can pong it. However, we have had issues and challenges with ponging because before we used to have a ponging officer, we no longer have a pong, we no longer have a ponging officer, right? But I think the best way we can handle this, even if we're not getting the satisfactory kind of response from the government's standpoint, is persons taking personal responsibility, being responsible, and be your neighbor's keeper.
Okay, great. Be your neighbor's keeper. We have another call on the line. Caller, good evening. Go ahead, we're here. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, please, go ahead. We're hearing you. If you're looking
good night.
Go ahead.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, if you're looking on TV, we're giving you the thumbs up. Go right ahead.
I remember 1972 down there. We had a hatchery at Mount Manassas. Fine, that used to operate. Excellent. But what I observed for the past 2 years, we prefer imported stuff. No matter from what condition, we rather have imported stuff. We are lazy Grenadians. We're not importing. and we not hope of having our own. Look at the animal industry. Every week or every other week, and you come to Grenville, you could see about a 60, 70, 80 heads of goat and sheep going to Trinidad. Today, not one. All what we are looking at, imported stuff from other countries. We are not interested in growing our own crop. That's why, as the Prime Minister said, agriculture is nothing. And nobody will tell him, hey, that is wrong. What the people is going to eat. What a shame. And the officers, as the gentleman there, I don't know what they're trying to protect. Tell the policymakers what they have to put in place. You hear me?
Yes, thank you so much, caller.
Let the they are the experts.
Yes, caller, thank you so much for that. Let me just make it abundantly clear that I don't ever recall having heard the Prime Minister that agriculture is nothing. Mr. Bernard, do you want to respond here?
Persons may have an inclination, yes, to things that are foreign. But I think, again, it goes back to volume and cost. My first set of layers came from that hatchery from Mount Parnassus, right? But then when you compare the cost of the chicken that is produced locally against what is being imported, at that time there was very little difference in the price. All right? And then again, you have to consider another factor. When chickens are hatched, chickens are supposed to be vaccinated against diseases such as Newcastle, Gombora, etc. Right? If our local farmers do not have the confidence that the chickens that have been produced locally are vaccinated, it means that you are going to spend your money to purchase some chickens that are very susceptible to disease. So if a disease was to break out, then this is more unlikely that these chickens and them, they would all die in a flash.
Yeah, but Mr. Bernard, I could see that being easy to fix. Put a policy in place that makes it clear that the local hatchery must vaccinate the chickens before they're sold.
So we go back again, yes, I agree with the policy, but we go back again to show how disaggregated what we do and how we do.
All right, so that's a big word for how scattered we are and we're not cohesive.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we're out of time. It is 9:27. Yes, Ms. Mahadir's reading is like, already? Yes, when you're having some very interesting discussion, the time just flies. They say time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, we have to wrap it up. We give you closing comments this evening, Ms. Mahadir.
Referring to what the last caller said about not raising local animals and so on, that goes back to a socio-economic point of view. Because you see sometimes, right, people who are very productive farmers, they did not want their children to follow in their footsteps because it was not socially acceptable. Everybody wanted them to become either a lawyer, a doctor, a teacher, or something of that sort. And even today, right, when young people shows an interest in agriculture, right, it is not really given the prominence of other professions. So, in order for us to solve this problem, this time that we had on this program is not enough, Ms. Campbell.
In order for us to solve this problem, this time that we had on this program was not enough. It's my fault. I take full responsibility. Mr. Bernard, closing comments.
Okay, my closing comments would be centered around the fact that the Poultry Association, in my view, is at a serious crossroad. And we from the ministry standpoint, we are in the business of helping strengthen that association. We believe that if we have a very strong, vibrant association, it would lend to meeting the needs of farmers. But I also want to send out a clarion call to all poultry producers and livestock, poultry in particular. The Poultry Association belongs to you. And we're asking you to get on board, support the executive, take responsibility for the association. If you do not support the association, then the association will not be in a position to work for you. We are asking you, please, get registered, be a poultry affiliate member, and let us take livestock production and poultry in particular to the level where we will be able to produce, to feed our nation efficiently, effectively, and sustainably at an affordable price.
Vote to the next politician. Well said, adequately spoken, Mr. Bernard.
I hope that's not a prophecy.
Why should you hope against as we close off this evening, I'd like to thank you, our viewers and listeners, for having joined us for this discussion. And like I say every time, we've come through a very interesting year. I don't want to use the word difficult or challenging. I think those are overused cliches. A very interesting year we have come through. And I've been trying for us to raise a toast to life on every program. We celebrate those who have survived and come through this period. But even while we try to do that, sometimes we get these interjections. And as we close this evening, we say a word of prayer for the Johnson, the Jays, I call them, the St. Louis family. We know that just about 6 or 8 months ago, we lost Johnson St. Louis. And yesterday, I believe it was, the family has been plunged into mourning again. They lost their dad. So Joy Johnson is looking on from heaven. John, Janice, all the Jays, to the family at Moya, we extend sincerest condolences. And to all of you who lost your loved ones, may God's grace, His comfort, His peace be with you in this difficult time. Remember that God's grace is sufficient for us and that we're going to be able to make it. So long for now. Until another program, I thank Mr. Nugent Bernard, Livestock Officer in the Ministry of Agriculture, and the recently elected President of the Grenada Poultry Association, Ms. Carmen Mahadio, for coming on and discussing and dissecting these very important issues. She breathed a sigh saying, no, Ms. Cam, this can't be over. But no, we're not going up to 10 o'clock this evening. We'll have to slaughter it for another program. And so long for now. I'm Odette Campbell on behalf of the entire team at the GBN saying thanks for rolling along on this journey. Please see you again next week.
Thank you.
Only do the outputs.
Yes.
Oops. Too short.
Too short.
Choose your time when you use appliances, make sure you